right. Welcome in, everybody, to another rousing edition of On the Sidelines. I'm your host, Seth Hagan, along with the coach, Hunter Price, and our longtime special guest, Aaron Daniel of WJOX. And he is here. We are locked in on some football right now because congratulations, you finally made it you've officially made it past the last weekend that you'll ever have in the year 2017 without legitimate competitive football. Well, gentlemen, it just feels good, doesn't it?
Feels nice, barring anything from some of our neighbors to the far east. Anything going over there.
Yeah, we're going to leave. We're going to hope for that, and at the same time, not hope for that. Hunter, how's your week been, my friend?
Week's been good. You know, the smell is in the air.
The smell is the burning rubber and the leather.
What?
I thought we were gonna go mowed grass, painted lines.
What?
Hunter has enough mowed grass for all of us.
You've been watching Indy racing before you got in.
Oh yes, without a doubt.
It's funny you say that though, because Thompson out there, you know, we filmed their practices and they actually had about 20 massive bags full of churned up tire rubbers, and they were locking the field down because they were re-rubbering the field. Oh. Do you know they water
of all utilities?
They water the turf before games of practice. I thought it was the funniest thing. I walked out there.
Testing the runoff
technology? No. It's the heat. It's the heat of the field. It's the heat. It cools down the field. But I think it's so funny. I walked out on the field one day and I looked, and there's just sprinklers just soaking the field, and I'm like, it's turf, isn't it?
It had to take a while to register. Why are they doing this?
But no,
There's got to be a point.
It pushes down the rubber. Little pellets, so it pushes them down so it's not getting all in your eyes and stuff, and then it also cools off the field, which is pretty neat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it'll get to $120 on some of these fields, so it's only right, and it's very smart to take care of the guys. But that brings us to why our friend Aaron Daniel is here. We are here to give y'all an SEC football preview, but first, we like to take care of our home state, and we're going to take a look at some of the teams around the state in high school football who could make that run this year. So if you're a big Birmingham football fan, Montgomery, Huntsville, we got you covered today. Our guy here from WJOX Preps is going to make it happen. Now, right off the bat, we know that 7A is the biggest one, is the big daddy, and Hoover has been running all over 7A as of late. They just an incredible defense. Even last year, after getting slightly embarrassed by one of the better teams in Georgia on national TV, they proceeded to run through the 7A playoffs with a defense that is just lights out. And I'm wondering, Aaron, will anybody be able to challenge Hoover this year?
I think there'll be challengers, but you go back and look at this team from last year. It's a team that, outside of out-of-state competition with, as you mentioned, Grayson, Georgia, who they start with opening the season, by the way, out-of-state.
Just go ahead and get it out the way.
National television game. They also lost to Allen, Texas by double digits.
That's true.
But aside from that, when you look at in-state competition, they whipped Central Phenix City. They whipped Spain Park. They whipped Mountain Brook. They beat up Thompson, Vestavia. Then they get to the playoffs, and they dismantled Bob Jones, dismantled Gaston State in the semifinals. Had a tough one, James Clemens, because of two great defenses.
Yep.
And then they beat McGill-Tulane by 10, at the time reigning state champions. Hoover is as good as they've been on defense, and that's what's been carrying them. They've become more of a running team since Tad Niblett left a couple of years ago down south to Foley. They used to be, as we know, great passing offense. We know the Wilson brothers, what they used to be able to do through the air. It's kind of gone by the wayside. They've concentrated more on the ground. They did a lot of that. They bring back, I believe, Vontae Brackett this year, one of their running backs, and he's a stud. He's going to be really good, key to their offense again. I think Jalen Parker is the guy that's about to step up as a senior and take over Garrett Farquhar's spot at quarterback, so we'll see how Parker ends up doing. They lost a backup quarterback and I think the youngest Wilson that was on the team. They looked to have maybe get him in the rotation, but he decided to focus on baseball since he's committed. I believe he's committed to Alabama, and he went ahead and left the team, which kind of leaves Josh Niblett in a little bit of a spot. But when you're when you're Hoover, you have so much talent to work with. It's absurd sometimes.
Yeah, and sometimes you can take a hit when you have that kind of depth.
Yeah, you can. And I'll say this. In their own region, they will have competition. Obviously, Thompson, ranked number 3 preseason in the state. Wow. I mean, look, it's surprising to some people, but you have to remember who they brought in. They brought in Talia Tungabaloa at quarterback. That's already vastly improved their offense. They were a good defense last year who just had some really just bad losses to Oak Mountain with a last-second touchdown. Spain Park fumbling the ball inside the red zone.
99-yard interception return at Spain Park.
The interception, just turning the ball over in general, and that was a sloppy game, period. But Thompson should be a challenger. Mountain Brook may have the best running back in the state, maybe.
That's right, Harold Joyner.
Yeah, I know we have a returning Mr. Football, and we'll get to Ladarius Webb in a moment, but Harold Joyner as a talent and his future prospects look brighter than perhaps anybody in the state, maybe unless it's we're talking about maybe Asa Martin up in Austin.
Yeah, I mean, he's a massive figure, a guy that Alabama football fans would love because, I mean, he's right there in that same line as a Bo Scarborough or a Derrick Henry. Not quite as big, but certainly has the frame, perhaps, to get there.
He's a big boy, and he will truck some people over, and it said a lot about Mountain Brook to come off, I believe it was a 3-7 campaign in 2015 to go 8 wins, go 2 rounds go to the first round of the playoffs. They lost, but I'll be honest, that Region 4 was actually pretty decent last year. We know Gaston City made that just crazy run to the semifinals.
Yeah, man, Gadsden City's not a joke.
Mountain Brook was their first victim in that run before they shocked Hewitt-Trussville the next week. Hewitt-Trussville is another team outside of Hoover's region we have to keep an eye on because Paul Tyson looks like he might be the real deal at quarterback. He's got an arm on him. He's got a nice cannon to throw with. And he's got a lot of talent. And Hewitt-Trussville is apparently transfer high school because everybody seems to be coming in over there. This is the second year in a row that a quarterback from Mountain Brook has transferred into Hewitt-Trussville, Tyson being the second of these two. Connor Adair, of course, as you know. Connor was there last year. He's now at Memphis, getting ready to try to get the starting job with the University of Memphis. Tyson has transferred in. Pleasant Grove lost a safety in Miles Mason, an all-state safety, to transfer into Hewitt. So they brought in a lot of talent. Josh Floyd is accumulating some great talent to try to get this program to somewhere they've never been, which is a state championship. They've been to the title game before. The last time that they were there, 1992 in 6A, before they ended up going down in that title game. So they haven't been there in a long time. They've had to watch their crosstown rival, Clay Chalkville, have immense success since 1996 when they started winning 2 state championships. So Hewitt feels like it's our time now. They've been around so much longer as a program. Why the heck haven't they won a championship? They finally got their first major state championship a couple of years ago in baseball. Now it's time to bring a football championship in their minds. And as you mentioned, Gaston City is always going to be there. They have a new coach, and they have Bart Sessions, of all people. Bart came in from TC after 1 year in Tuscaloosa County, and Bart seemed disgruntled at Tuscaloosa. I actually saw him at the Huffman game last year, and he did not seem to be too thrilled with the atmosphere, the way the work ethic of his players, and it may have rubbed him the wrong way. He just decided to get a change of scenery, and you know what? It's not a bad choice to go to Gaston City where they care about their football deeply.
Let me ask you something. Hewitt, do you think they can pull off the championship? Because I'm looking at future teams, like championship teams. It seems like you've always had a lot of teams that have tried to build something and they've had a lot of transfers come in. They never really seem to be the ones that finally get it done. And it seems to me like you end up just having to have some pride for your city, and that just seems to be the reason why Hoover always seems to dominate.
But to be fair, Hoover has a lot of guys transfer in a lot of times. I remember one guy, Christian Taylor, who was a linebacker the last couple of seasons, was an Oak Mountain kid originally. It's not like Hoover has all homegrown talent. They have a lot of guys that come in because they see those kids and the parents see that success, and it's like, well, I would like to either put either the child wants to be there or the parents want to put their child in that situation where they can go out and have a really good chance to win a state championship with what first Probst built and now what Nibla has continued. And Hewitt has brought in really good talent. Like I said, when you bring in an all-state safety, when you bring in a quarterback who's got a gun on him, so I mean they're putting together a great team, which they need because they need to replace some really good players like Connor Adair, Grayson Cash, Noah Igbenogany, who's gone down to Auburn. That offense got gutted last year. They really need some help, and they've gotten it with some transfers. So I think we're going to see what Hewitt's capable of. The question is Paul Tyson, how quickly will he mature throughout the season and become a leader and take this team where they need to go? The way they lost last year to Gadsden City was one of the most brutal ways I remember ever seeing.
Yeah.
Where they're up by 2 touchdowns with like 5 minutes to go, give up a touchdown, fumble the ensuing kickoff, and give up another touchdown. Ended up losing by 1 on their home field to a region foe who they had beaten earlier in the year. They should have been in the semifinals. They weren't. They have a chance to get back this year. We'll see. They have the team to do it. They just have to actually go out and get it done. Meanwhile, in the South, Central Phenix City still has Justin Ross, the top player in the state. He's going to be one to watch at wide receiver. Enterprise. Was Enterprise's great run last year a one-off? They went 10-2 last year. This is not a program when we think football, when we think of Enterprise. They went 10-2 last year. They were very surprising. They look like they may be having a switch at quarterback, which is very unusual. Colby Fulton Tice looks like he's going to get replaced at the quarterback position, at least from what I was seeing at 7-on-7. If that change does happen, could mean that they see a lot of confidence in a new kid, which could be good things for Enterprise. We'll see how they do with challenging Central Phoenix City. Is Prattville still going to have the problems they've been having? 2-7 last year, and were run off their own field by the same Enterprise team I mentioned. And I remember we were doing the radio show, and I'm on Twitter, and the number of Prattville alumni that were disgusted with what they were seeing on the field was incredible.
It's amazing to see Prattville fall so far.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
After being at the tip top
Yeah.
for multiple years in a row.
Chad Anderson has not done this program any favors. They had some great coaches in the past, including Bill Clark, who's at UAB now.
Sure.
Chad is not that same cut of the cloth at the coaching position, and it's showing. They've been on a downhill spiral ever since he got there, and I think they hope that they've hit rock bottom at this past season because the next thing to go is to 0-10.
Right.
And that would just be unthinkable.
And it sounds like, if you're having this many problems with coaches moving on from your program, maybe you need to lock down a coach. Maybe you need to put up a little money and be like, hey, we want to commit to you long time because we're tired of doing this little seesaw act.
It'd be nice, but at the same time, Bill had a good opportunity to go to college ranks. I don't know what Josh's ambitions are at Hoover, if he's wanting to stay at the high school level. If he is, he's got a lockdown gig and he's fine. It's all about what a coach's ambition level is. About a program like Briarwood has been lucky to have Fred Yancey for nearly 30 years. Winona has had Ronald Cheatham for nearly 30 years. So you can get lucky if a guy wants to stay at the high school level, but if he has greater ambition than that, then there's not much you can do. No matter how much money you have, college is going to always have a bit more to offer.
That's true. It's tough to compete with those salaries.
We might have a bit more to offer. We have some advertisements to offer. I think Richard's really mad at us.
All right, that's true. Let's take a small break. We're going to head a little bit further out into the state, maybe look at the Montgomery area, see what kind of powers are coming out of there, and see
I want to touch on Birmingham. First time we've had a championship come out of Birmingham, and how many years has it been?
Over 40 years.
Yeah, the Metro Birmingham area is finally starting to show up.
Let's look at Birmingham and let's see if we can repeat again.
I like it. All right, everybody, stick around. More on the sidelines in just a moment.